Welcome back, Guardian. Thanks for tuning in. The other day I made a best mods in the game video talking about hive armaments, hive repurposing, hive barrier, the taken armaments, and so on. And I also said that I made a build specifically for the LMG that I was using with demolitionist and with hive armaments, and that's this build we're going to talk about today. Slideways means every time you slide, it reloads 10 rounds in, which is beast on an LMG. And then we have demolitionist. Each kill takes 8 seconds off our grenade. No matter what kind of kill it is, it's 8 seconds. And then when we throw the grenade, it reloads the weapon. But there's a way you can build it out based on your stats, based on your discipline, where you never have to reload this again when you couple it with the beast exotic, the Getaway artist. Convert your grenade into what is called Tyrone the Crackhead, and it looks a little bit something like this when it's built out right. Alright, well let's get into the stats first and talk about these run and gun stats using my 1.0 Getaway artist. So I'm using the 8 discipline. The reason why we're going to use 8 discipline is because by the time the LMG runs out of its magazine, the grenade comes back with Getaway artist, so it times it out perfectly at 8 discipline. You can do what you want, but I recommend doing the 8. We're going to be doing a 7 mobility at 6 plus traction, 7 recovery. As you see in my video yesterday about mobility and recovery, those are the beast stats you need for run and gun. And then we're going to do a tier 3 intellect and tier 3 strength, which are not really that much focused on, and then resilience sucks. Now let's get into the armor and how to put it all together, starting with the helmet. So I'm using my 1.0 helmet. Copy these stats the best that you can. It's going to have a 30 recovery on it. That's how I'm reaching the 7 recovery. I'm using hive barrier, my 1.0 version, because I don't have the 2.0 version yet. And I'm using enhanced ashes to assets, because every kill you get with Getaway artist contributes to enhanced ashes. And then I don't have an LMG reserve, so I'm using rocket reserve. So if you can match LMG, I recommend that. Or if you're using a rocket with demolitionist, that works as well. I'm currently using my 1.0 Getaway artist because the stats got re-rolled recently, so they're pretty beast. I'm using a discipline mod on those, impact induction, and then heavy ammo finder. So just copy those best as you can. You'll have a better version if you're using 2.0. And then the chest piece, always match it to what event you're doing. So if you need unstoppable melee, like you're the unstoppable guy for the ogres or whatever, then match it out for that. And then use whatever reserves that you want to do. I'm using fusion reserves because I'm also using a demolitionist fusion. And then a discipline mod to get us to that 8 discipline. But like I said, match your chest piece how it needs to be for the event. Moving to the leg piece, a discipline mod to get me to that 8 discipline. I'm using traction, that +1 mobility, 6 equals 7 when you have traction. And then the hive repurposing, every time I bust a hive shield, I get my grenade back. Which you're going to see a lot of that when you're using this build because there's hive everywhere, there's shielded hive everywhere, so it comes in handy. Watch my how to get those mods. I made that video the other day if you want to learn how to get these mods. Opulent Scholar Bond, hive armaments, must have it. Light reactor, recuperation, touch the orb, get your health back, and that mobility mod to build my mobility back up to get to that 7. Now let's go to some in-action battle and why all of this works with that recharge rate on that grenade. I built this out according to how much ammo that I have in my LMG. Every time you do damage with the Getaway artist, it contributes charge towards your grenade, not counting the impact induction and anything like that. But every time I run out of 75 rounds, it gives me my grenade right back at the very end. So if you use 7 or 6 discipline, you'll have a little bit of a pause, but it also depends on how big your magazine is on your LMG. I recommend using a backup mag. As you can see here, I get my ammo all the time because Getaway artist procs hive armaments every time you get a kill, and every time I also get a kill with hive armaments, it procs my super with the enhanced ashes to assets. And if I were to be using my light reactor, I could use that as well, which also has demolitionist on it. So I'm using all demolitionist weapons except for my primary. But when you're doing anything that's hive heavy, you never have to reload this weapon, and that's how it's tuned out. That's how the stats are built the way that they are. That's why the discipline's where it's at. And if you have slideways, which I do on this, and I do happen to run out, I can just do a slide and get 10 in, kill a couple targets because LMGs hit pretty hard. So 10 rounds on an LMG is better than getting like 5 rounds on an SMG or something like that. Slideways usually sucks on a lot of weapons, but on LMGs it's actually one of my preferred perks just because it hits so much harder. And if heavyweight is on, it's even more beast getting 10 rounds in, such as Menagerie and events like that. When you use impact induction at tier 8, regular impact gives you 4 seconds. If you're using enhanced, it gives you 6 seconds. So like I said, if you have the 2.0 version, you can stack a loader and enhanced impact induction on top of these, which will be even more beast, but I don't have them yet. But watch right here as I fill my ammo back up, just killing these thrall and these small acolytes. It's one of the ultimate run and gun ad clear tools for the moon. It's not that beast against bosses and stuff like that, but you know, you have to play your role in what you're building out for. So when you're using Getaway artist, you're not using it to melt bosses, you're using it to clear ads. And that's one thing that the thing does really well with hive armaments, because you never run out of ammo, and it keeps proccing your enhanced ashes over and over, so you get a lot of supers using this build. You could use a rocket launcher with demolitionist on it as well, but I recommend using an LMG just because of how this build times out. I know there's a ton of hype about the Heretic rocket launcher getting demolitionist right now, but once you go max handling and max blast radius that Sleepless offers with field prep and cluster, you need to make sure your rockets are landing in most difficult situations. I think Heretic's a good patrol kind of activity weapon, but when it comes to anything really difficult, where you're running and gunning and spinning around in the air and making sure all your shots are landed in precise rockets and you're taking out most adds per rocket, that's where the Sleepless comes in, and you just can't get that off of low blast radius rockets and low handling. The firing just isn't that great on it. The blast just sucks on them. I just don't like them. I think it's a waste of a rocket using low blast. And I usually only use demolitionist heavy weapons on LMGs just because of situations like this versus a lot of Hive. You get a ton of heavy ammo and you never run out. I know when it comes to RNG weapons, it's hard to say use slideways and demolitionists because what are your chances of getting that? But I've had 3 drop from Eris, and you don't necessarily have to have slideways, but I just think that it's the god roll that Eris drops. Out of all the other LMGs that she has, there's probably a ton of good rolls you can get, but when it comes to not having to reload a weapon ever, especially a slow reloading LMG, slideways and demolitionists just seem like it's the ultimate combo to me. But use whatever you want or whatever you have, as long as it has demolitionists on it. Honestly, it's good enough. And like I said, with this build, you never got to reload it. You have the good discipline, you got the good stats, you got recovery, you got mobility, you're at tier 3 intellect, so your stock recharge is like it was before Shadowkeep almost, still with a little bit of a nerf, but when you add the enhanced ashes and the light reactor on top of it stacking together, you have ultimate run and gun battle mode going with this build. And that is it, Guardian. So hopefully you enjoyed this. It's not very much of a long video, just kind of like to the point what this build can do for you. Farm those menagerie mods out. I've had a few comments, people saying they're not getting them to drop on regular menagerie, but I've been farming out somebody else's account, including my own, and getting those same mods off regular menagerie. So it's just really RNG. You might have a better chance at heroic, but I haven't done any heroic, and I have all the mods except for Hive Barrier. But good luck on your drops, good luck putting your god rolled in-game builds together, and I'll see you all in the next video next time.
In space.